happened last night. I was New York Times article that basically was telling us that the newest rendition of Superman, against Superman's son, Lois and Clark's son, was going to be a gay edition of Superman. That's right, you heard it from the sisters. I know you might be shocked. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked, number 31. I'm going to tell everybody, don't be shocked because this has been happening. It's been slowly permeating the aspects of cartoons, slowly permeating aspects of politics, religion, and also telling this as well. There is an argument for gender and gender rights and gender identity. So when I heard that Superman was now going to be gay and going to be in a relationship, let's just put it out there, brothers and sisters. I was like, what happened? The Man of Steel is not the Man of Steel that I knew. How will Superman handle this? His father? How will Lois handle this? How will the other people in the Legion of Justice handle a gay superhero? Wonder Woman still Wonder Woman? Is Batman still on Batman? I don't know, but we're in this whole plethora where we're trying to figure out who is doing what is what. Now, as we get into this, I want to give a quick shout out to those people. Shout out to Miss Eleanor who gave me a call and we had an excellent conversation. I tell everybody to stay in touch with your elders. Miss Eleanor, thank you so much for brightening up my evening yesterday. And of course, the usual food, Mama Son and Aunt Maxine and everybody, thank you so much. And I'm bringing these people up because they grew up in a time whereby these things didn't happen. Not that there was an existence of homosexuality. It was that it had a voice. It had a position. The thing that happens with cartoons, if you really up on a history of cartoons, the idea of cartoons is a dangerous piece of position when you put it out to the public. The cartoon can mean a lot of things. Historically, it has a lot of things, positive and negative, but the connotation is the thing that we're going to talk about today. And why I think that this latest thing, with Superman being typecasted in a cartoon as gay, is something we need to talk about. Because cartoons, when I was my age, younger, when I was younger, my age, I mean, generally, we collect cartoons. When we were 7, 8, 9, collect cartoons. My older cousin Tony, that I was used to passed away, but Tony had a huge collection of cartoons. I used to learn how to draw out of the cartoons. And why I'm saying this is because the cartoons had accessibility. Accessibility to you. Now, people like me, old and cruddy, you don't really watch cartoons. You barely watch any animation. But the idea that it's out there, and if it starts out this way, it has the opportunity to become animation. You gotta have a talk, a very, very honest talk about what's going on and the things that are being put out in front of our youth. Now, we say purpose is purpose. I leave it alone. You're gonna be who you are, what you want to be. That's not my business. My business is when the agenda becomes larger and we have to have a little bit more say. We got Sister Satana on. Sister Satana, what you got to say about this?
How are you?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi. You brought me the bad news.
Why they come and don't blame me. Don't blame the messenger. So I'm coming in because your mic is a little bit distorted. So yeah. So, but it sounded a little bit better when I came in. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's me. But yeah. So so that was it was an interesting article that that came through yesterday on on Superman, right? So the discussion around where that's going, I guess where that's going. So that should be really interesting. Thank you, Reese. So she said the sound is better. Okay, thank you. I wonder if that's something with my mic. I don't know. So yeah, that's going to be the topic of discussion today. It was a New York Times article that came through yesterday. I think it came through on some other platforms. But yeah, so that's going to be the discussion today. So looking forward to it.
So let's bounce to it. Sister, I want you to stay on the line because I have some things I've been thinking about. I actually want to give a little bit of a historical background about cartoons and why cartoons are important.
Okay, cool.
They're not just for kids. We think that cartoons are just for kids. They're not for kids. That's
Huge
one of the things.
industry.
It's a huge industry with a
Yeah.
huge misconception. It is not just for kids. You have cartoons that have gone on. Boondocks. Boondocks went on to be a very successful TV show, animation. Um, a lot of political satire in the Flintstones, in the Jetsons, and things like that. That you will look at and go, just the drawings and what have you. We laugh, ha ha ha, but you really have to listen to some of the dialogue in cartoons. So let's go ahead and get the show started, Sister Satana. Don't you go anywhere, people, and you stay on the line too, Sister Satana. We'll be right back. Preacher Mars Shout Out Show. Let's get it rolling.
Okay.
Why would I do a CD called Confessions of a Muslim Comedian? And that was the idea of bringing entertainment to Muslims, for Muslims, about Muslims, but for everybody.
I got Dean in my life. Who is Dean? What you bring Dean around here?
You know how Muslims get you all hyped up? And he said, brother, you ready to be Muslim? I said, yeah. He said, you know what that means? I said, tell me, brother. He said, you ready to give up the swine? I said, yes, sir, I'm giving up the swine. He said, are you ready to give up the alcohol? I said, yes, sir, I'm ready to give up the alcohol. He said, you ready to give up the women? I said, yes, sir, I'm ready to give up the alcohol.
All right, how's it sound now?
Sound is good.
Okay.
We'll keep monitoring it. But I do want to come on this.
I figured it out when I was monkeying around with the camera. I forgot to put the regular sound in, so you were getting it. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. Let me be totally honest before we get to it. We bought new equipment for the show. Now your boy thinking I'm just gonna pop it out of the box. It's gonna be HDMI here, USB here. I opened the camera and realized I've been operating in the Stone Ages. There are a lot of things that are on a mirrorless camera, a lot of options, the beautiful options. I just don't know how to work them as of yet. And sadly, this is day number 2 that we do not have the new camera. Thank goodness that we have the webcam, and I haven't screwed that up. So please forgive me in advance. Believe me, trust me, it's worth the wait. The camera is beautiful. When you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, that looks amazing. I have seen it. It looks amazing. It has great promise. But until then, we will be on the webcam.
Awesome. Hey, so before we get in, let's go ahead and you have an overlay there. And so let's talk about that, because that's pretty exciting. That's coming up. I'm going to put you on full screen.
We have the overlay. But this is our big, I feel like the weatherman. This is our big project launching in 2012. We actually have a pilot show in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going to be on October the 30th in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's the Islamic Information Center in Las Vegas. I think that address is, I looked at it, 1610 East Russell Road. 1610 East Russell Road. Limited seats, people. That means don't come here thinking you're going to get a hookup. Limited seats mean we're also going to be doing social distancing, so get your tickets early. And like I said, this is the spot. Let me get right here. Again, you can go to www.iiclasvegas.org. Preacher #mosque MOSSQUE. So we're going to be putting these things up because, again, we're going to be getting out on the road. We have some other special announcements that we're going to be making along the way. We have a big one I'm going to make in about 2-3 weeks. So make the wild for me, because I'm going through the formulations. Satana is
on the team trying to make sure I get it right and get it corrected. But for right now, this is our big project, 2022. We're hoping to help, if you will, help Muslims get back into the masjid. You know, after COVID happened, a lot of us were on a virtual thing, and when we started opening masjids back up, our population, our numbers were down. And with our numbers being down, our revenue was down, donations were down because people weren't coming to the masjid. So we're trying to bring people back to the masjid, brothers and sisters, and take part in this. Laugh your way back to the masjid. We are celebrating America's masjid and mosque. This is an after Maghrib function. We hope you're going to be there. First kickoff is in Las Vegas. Satana, come on back in.
Yeah, you have to say that there was like a test run of it too, right? In Houston, and that went off really well.
We had a run of it in Houston at Masjid Mariam.
Sold out.
Alhamdulillah, all praise to 400 people came out. Mm-hmm. So we know that Muslims are viable and they want to be entertained. They want halal entertainment, and doggone it, I'm going to give it to them.
Yeah. And it was
you can bet your halal last dollar. That's if Don Canales was Muslim. You can bet your halal last dollar. But yeah, people, please stay on top of this. You'll see more of these, inshallah, more posters and things like that. We'll be mixing them in. You know how we do. We've been mixing them in. This is a new setup. So let's go ahead and get to our shout outs real quick. Who we got here?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so Johnny L. Thomas.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, little brother. How you doing? Thank you so much for coming. Man, JT and his family showed me the best time when I was in Milwaukee. Let me just tell you that. The best time we hung out. Boy, we hung out here. Both of us were unemployed. That's the way we hung out. And we just made sure we hung out in Chicago. It was like being on the road again with your little brother, with your sidekick, like your day one hanging in. And it was good. Thank you, little brother, for coming out. And a shout out to Miss Maisie, who had a birthday while I was in Milwaukee. Got to see her too. So shout out to Miss Maisie and everybody in Milwaukee. Brother Marlon, Yolanda, everybody. Darcy, Jordan, Ray, and of course my main man Jordan, who actually came to the show. All right. Next up, we got
Sister Ree.
Sister Ree, hello family. How you doing, Sister Ree? I hope that you are doing all right. You're healthy, and you know we got you in your prayers. Miss Eleanor says she definitely has you in your prayers. Has you in her prayers. We hope you're doing well. Big shout out to Derek. Have him give me a call. I know he experienced a loss. So we don't want to be bereft of that, and make sure he knows that we care about him, and you know these things are difficult, but we're here for him on the shout out show. Okay, next up we got
welcome Altaf.
6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. We got brother Altaf Rashid in the house, all the way from Canada. Do you know who he is, brothers and sisters? If you don't know, he is the Canadian ambassador to the shout out show. Has been so for over a year, well over a year, brothers and sisters. He has been here pretty much from day one, checking in with us. He is like clockwork, man. I'm like, you've been here for 500 some shows easily. I'm like, brother, you got good health. You haven't been sick one time. So I want to make sure we give him a shout out. Hope everything's going well with you and your family out tough. Good to see you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Next up,
brother Adam.
Adam, my other Canadian partner in crime. How you doing, Adam, man? We hope you're doing well. Adam and I got to catch up on the phone for a minute. For those that don't know Adam he's an actor, he's a thespian, he's a fellow creative. You know, he's an all-around good guy, man. He's always there for family and friends, my family and friends in Toronto, and he makes sure that everything is cool. And it's one of those things when you see somebody, you just kind of left off. You know, it's not like, oh, I haven't seen you in 20 years. It's more like, hey, how you doing? You hungry? And we just keep it moving. Big shout out to Adam. Next up.
And Mama Mary.
That's it. There you go. Congrats on the new upcoming show. Thank you, Mama San. We are going to be putting this thing together. This is one of those dinner table ideas. A lot of people don't know that Mary Moss, Mama San, better known as Mama San, she was like the mother of Allah Made Me Funny. So Allah Made Me Funny doesn't get started. She loaned me $700, and I took her $700 and a logo and turned it into a logo, and that's what turned into Allah Made Me Funny, believe it or not. So big shout out to Mary Moss. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, next up.
So we have our last comment, which kind of leads us into the subject. Let's see.
Well, the interesting thing about Chappelle now is that Netflix has defended Chappelle about his comments and criticism,
Okay, I didn't see that. All right. All right.
which which I had a little privy information into knowing, which was actually pretty cool. Now I'm beginning to wonder how this thing is really going to shape up.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think people are going to really go back and look at the special, and the criticism is going to be a lot more focused, a lot more precise.
Hmm. Okay, before we get into it, let's do one more shout out and let's get into it. So, Sister
This,
Naima.
this is my buddy from D Town.
Oh,
Wale Masalano Fatula Barakati. Thanks so much, Sister Naima. Sister Naima is she's I want to say one of my soul sisters, a fellow jazz buff. Her grandmother is, I can't remember her name, but I listened to her grandmother. I ran to her grandmother's CD. She's a jazz singer, um, well-known jazz singer in the Detroit area. Phenomenal. In fact, I'm gonna get her name and maybe we'll play something. But phenomenal jazz singer. Big shout out to you, Sister Naima. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Oh, and we got our sponsor,
sponsor.
Maxine K. I like your new set. It looks very good. Thank you so much, sis. I almost say Sister Maxine. I would like my Sister Maxine. No, that is Aunt Maxine. And I tell people, you say aunt and uncle when you're old school. Doesn't matter how old you get. You be 70 and your uncle will be 95. You're still gonna call him uncle, whatever. You don't call him by their first name. I saw a young lady at the grocery store call her mother by her first name, and it just ooh. I wanted to do that, but I'm not trying to kiss her. Just a quick one. I'm not trying to leave a new. See, my mom is going. New camera shows greatly. Well, I'm gonna tell you, Mom. You probably heard, but I haven't gotten a new camera to work correctly just yet. Just yet, I got to go through some more tutorials. I jumped in there and realized I was definitely dancing underwater in this situation. Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Did you hear Superman is gay to war for gender? So let me give you guys just a little bit of background about cartoons. Cartoons, and the reason why Superman is really, really important is in World War II, like World War I, World War II, Superman as a cartoon was used as propaganda against the Germans. A lot of folks don't know that. Batman 2, they were fighting Nazis and things like that. I had an old book of cartoons. Gosh, I wish I still had it. But it was like this thick, and it was nothing but Batman cartoons. And it related to the times because these Batman cartoons are going back to like the 30s. The 30s, the 40s. And America at the time used propaganda, particularly the heroes that children used, to inculcate them to, again, hate the enemy, to increase loyalty towards America and as they fought the enemy. So Superman was one of those things. Plus, brothers and sisters, Superman as a show, as an early TV show, was actually used, and you probably know this, was actually used to, I want to say, kind of disband the KKK back in the early 40s. They had if you go back, the KKK at one point marched on Washington, D.C. I don't have the exact date, but they used the Superman radio show. I said TV show. They used the Superman radio show to proliferate the secret handshake, which is, are you Mr. Nyack? Which is, are you a Klan member? Are you a Klan member? That's what it meant. And it was interesting that superheroes and comics have been used that way. Even in present times, we had all kind of upheaval and unrest around what? In the Muslim community, we had the Danish cartoons. You begin to see how these things make sense. The Danish cartoons had a lot to do with, we're talking about cartoons and we're talking about Superman being gay. They move social capital. That's probably the best way to say it. Cartoons quietly move social capital. Now, the thing I think should also understand is that the cartoons also had a lot to do with World War II and the Holocaust. If you look at some of the older cartoons and how they portrayed Jewish people, they sharpened the features of Jewish people to a face that moved from a human face to that of a rat. And it systemically framed them as not human. Now, that being said, it should be no surprise that I am concerned, as are a lot of people concerned, with the presentation of Superman being gay. Why at this time? Now, at first, as I talked about it, I was, what is going on? And then I started thinking strategically, thinking this way: why am I, brothers and sisters, so adamant about a fictional character? Why am I so adamant about a fictional character? That someone gave a fictional character a particular gender belief or sexual orientation. And I'm still ruminating with why I'm so upset. And it has to do a lot with what you've already taught me about gender through cartoons. As for some people, what you already taught them about religion, what you already taught them about oppression, as we talk about some of these cartoons, brothers and sisters. And I realized that the cartoon has immense value. I have a project that I'm working on, and it made me rethink what I was thinking about these cartoons, because you know what? They're not in the shadows. A cartoon, engagement of cartoon, brothers and sisters, looking at the dialogue bubbles, require a lot of attention, more so than you would see with television. Like, you have to concentrate to follow the dialogue and the story arc in a cartoon strip, if you will, or a comic book, but definitely a cartoon strip. And so here we're talking about this Batman. I don't even know when they're going to put this comic book out, but we've already gotten a space. And I think that DC Marvel did this largely because I was talking to Sister Naima about it. You know, they're kind of just jumping on the bandwagon about some of these things. However, I do feel it's strategic that it's been released at the same time that Brother Dave Chappelle is having his battle with the LGBT community. Sister Tana, jump in when you're ready. I feel now, this is my thing, Sister Tana.
Okay.
Looking at the history of cartoons, right? Looking at the history of cartoons have been extremely important in terms of just turning slightly the perception of oppressed people. You know, we Black people know we hate to look at the cartoons of the dark-skinned people with the big lips, and we're all in the watermelon patch thing. It hurts us. That's not who we are. People are presenting that as these are these people. Even though you can look and see I'm not that person, the cartoon is something that's very personal, and it happens in a safe space for a lot of people. It happens in a very safe space for a lot of people. And if you look at history, like I said, cartoons have been devastating. They've done devastating things in terms of turning social opinion. What do you think?
Well, I totally agree that it's because I think that the kind of the history of cartoons sent a message to a certain group of people, right? And so that was whether or not it was messages in there, or whether or not it was looking to redirect, how people should be thinking, right? And so, like you said, one of the things you said was how how people are the enemy, right? And so these are those are probably more. The cartoons are probably more read, and they weren't as elaborate as the books. They were probably just just like a little bit of the one or two strips, cartoon strips. So they weren't elaborate as a book, but it was impactful that it gave a message to people who may not have read papers, right? And so they would see this
people
see the cartoon strips, the literacy
people may not
rate.
be that sophisticated.
Right, exactly. And so the cartoons probably, were a little bit more appealing than the paper, and and so it had to be like really short messages that was sent across, and it was done in these cartoons. So I think that's still the model today. Where
I think ironically, when we look back, if you go back to 2016, before, you know what I remember? The GOP used very effectively cartoons.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
We never saw them, but they use cartoons with their constituents.
To the constituents, right. And then look at the constituents and look how they had to communicate with them. So it was never in, okay, let's put it in the paper. Let's put it in the cartoon
Yeah,
strip.
you don't have to put it in the
Yeah.
paper anymore. You can
Yeah.
create your own culture
Hmm.
with
For
cartoons,
sure.
and you can feed. You have an
For sure.
environment. You can continue to feed that environment
Right. And
culture or content, as you said. And I think the thing is interesting is like we don't know. Like we
right.
literally don't know. Like we'll have a QAnon. QAnon used cartoons. Like we had a
Mhm.
QAnon, and nobody knew what QAnon was until it was essentially it was too late. You know,
Right. Right.
the wolves are at the gate now. We're like, who in the world is QAnon? You heard whispers, but you didn't.
Mhm.
You know,
And then
the Klan used effectively cartoons. I think the thing now, and I will say this, and I'll try and be gentle about it. But the thing that does concern me is a cartoon. See, let me back up. When I was younger, um, I would not sit here and go, there were not people who were gay in our presence. We knew people were gay, but there was somewhat of an understanding, and people can argue with me if you want to, but there was somewhat of an understanding that there were parameters, and you could be whatever you want to be, but it was framed by you did not have access to youth. Like you didn't have access to youth. You didn't bring this around young boys. You didn't bring this around young girls. This was more like something when you got of age and you were making decisions and you could act upon your feelings thing. And that was the thing that was interesting. So now it's just way blatant. It's just really, really blatant. You know, the thing with Chappelle and Netflix is what they're finding out is this is not a voice. This is a business. You know, the whole idea of Superman being gay, this is an economy now.
yeah.
And people don't
Yeah.
want to say it. Oh, I have my right to choose who I want to love. I'm like, that's all slogan stuff. This is a business. This is no different to me than the prison industrial complex. It's just that you put gender and sexuality in it. And now we're trying to make people choose. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate because how are you going to be the voice? You know, you're going to listen to my voice. When we listen to your voice, and you go, all right, now don't listen to any others. And
Yeah.
that seems to be the difference. I'm not saying that there needs to be a heterosexual Spider-Man or anything like that, but the messaging is something that I haven't moved off of. There's something
Mm-hmm.
about the messaging and the timing of how this thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not right now. We're delayed, if you will. We're derailed with John Gruden and his issues with the Vegas Raiders. But
Right. How about that? Yeah.
So
So
Sister Nine
Naeem says, it just goes to show you that art imitates life. Cartoons from the 1970s wouldn't be relative in 2001, so everything changes. And that's so true.
It's true. Yeah, you're gonna have your own set. She's right. If you bought heroes, if you bought Batman, the old Batman movie, to now kids won't watch it.
Right, and you see that they have to be repurposed, right? Because there was a research, like at one point, comics, I guess, lost their favor for a while, and then you see this resurgence in movies, right? So Marvel and DC, right?
Well,
So
the thing is now that Netflix and YouTube, they're going after content creators who create that kind of stuff, who have the cartoons that they can take and turn into larger content.
Yeah,
like that's the business now.
It is the business, but I'm saying that the resurgence of comics, I think, because the whole Marvel series, right, and DC Comics, so you have a whole new fan base, right? Because people are like, oh, especially like when Black Panther came back, that was like, okay,
that was huge.
Yeah, it was huge, and it was huge for our community too, right? Because not that we were into comic books, but then once that happened, then everyone wanted to go back and see, okay, what was the origin of the Black Panther, right? And
well,
so
I think the thing is, we're not into comics. I think you touched on an important point. We're not into comics, but doggone in America, we're into heroes. and we love our heroes, our baseball players, our football players, our soccer players, our politicians, our religious folks. We are into here. We are hero culture. And so, I can't do anything about DC Comics. Nobody can. That's their boardroom decision, the private company. But I remember when, like you said, Black Panther came out. Would Black Panther have been as popular if Prince T'Challa was gay?
Interesting question.
And I actually think that it probably would have been very popular.
I think for the Black culture, I don't think that would have been a concern. I think they would have still saw this person as a superhero. He's, and like you said, had this been like 30 years ago, that might have been a situation.
Well, I think,
yeah.
Yeah, I just think, the way that it was done has been, it's been like a repeat cycle of how stuff gets introduced. You know what I mean? Like it's introduced. We're going to put it in football. They, this year they had an openly gay football player for the Las Vegas Raiders. But years ago, they tried to introduce a guy named Michael Sam in St. Louis when it was the St. Louis Rams. And there was a pressure on the coach to draft this guy to be the first openly gay football player. And so it's interesting because even now, the NFL put out a thing, if you watch the latest thing. So there's a lot to say about environment and people leveraging environment to make their issues. And I even think about, the protests that we had on George Floyd. It became, after George Floyd died down, it became a platform for everybody to kind of get the grievance out. So, I don't hear a whole lot of pushback and people up in arms about Superman being gay, to be honest with you. It's been relatively quiet to me.
Yeah, we have a comment here. So Sister Naima said the new Black Panther is going to have its first openly lesbian relationship. So we'll see.
Okay, Sister Naima, don't come back on the show. You're depressing me. I want no more news from you, Sister Naima.
We're gonna move to the next comment. We're gonna move to the next comment. So,
words and pictures and cartoons, many present and future. Dick Tracy talked into his watch. Now Amazon, etc., make such watches. This is true. This is true.
Yeah. That was futuristic.
Well, Mom went way back with Dick Tracy.
Yeah, that was a futuristic
movie. The Dick Tracy movie came out with Warren Beatty. Remember that?
Yeah, and his wife, right? What's her name?
Yeah, and it was horrible. But in any event, I think she's right. Life does imitate art. I think we've hit the 30-some mark.
We have.
So that topic moved quickly. So listen, everybody, again, we appreciate you coming on the show. If you have any comments, please direct them to permissiblelaughter at gmail.com. Again, that's permissiblelaughter at gmail.com. We want to hear your comments. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the new set, the new digs, the new projects and things like that. And I promise you, inshallah, sometime this week, we will have the new camera up and going and everybody will be able to really enjoy it. I'm very excited for how the studio worked out. Okay, so let's get to our sponsors.
Yeah.
We're going to give a shout out to BeFinancialIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinancialIndependent.com. Go there. www.BeFinancialIndependent.com. Spell B-E, not B, like Sister Satana did it. You'll never find it. Okay. Call 1-888-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. All right. Make sure you go there, get some information about not only what you do with your dollar, but how you hold on and make it work for you. Shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Go to bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. One of the premier education institutions for Islamic scholarship. They have a leading program for Muslim chaplaincy. You definitely want to check that out. And guess what? I still think they're taking applications for the spring semester. You don't want to miss it. It's a great program. I'm not saying it because I got my master's in Islamic education, but I'm saying it because I got my master's in Islamic education. And they did it in a way, brothers and sisters, where they understood my schedule. You know how hectic my schedule is, traveling, doing work, trying to handle family, all that type of stuff. It was beautiful because they worked with me. I had a scholarship, alhamdulillah, the Muhammad Ali scholarship, and they gave me 2.5 years to get my studies done, and I am eternally grateful. Again, bayanonline.org. All right, Sultana, is that it?
I think you just want to just go ahead and mention again your upcoming tour.
Yes. Anybody's going to be in
Okay.
Vegas? It is the Preacher Mosque Comedy Tour. See, I look like the white weatherman. Look, it is the Preacher Mosque Comedy Tour. See right there? And it's limited spaces. I'm doing this. I'm pretty good. Limited spaces. Register now, brothers. This is at the IIC, the Islamic Information Center in Las Vegas, and that is 1630 East Russell Road, Las Vegas. I will be there. Mike Tyson, if you're in there, come on out to the show, and I'll show you a couple boxing moves. All right, I'm kidding. All right, brothers and sisters, that is my show. We appreciate you. I hope that you guys are blessed. And here's a quote to remember. They always say, if you build it, they will come. There's something to add on there. Yes, if you build it, they will come. But if you build it correctly, they will stay. That's it for the shout out show. We appreciate you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Satana, take us home. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, team, we've come to the end of yet another show. And I have to say, I had a good time, and I hope that you had a good time as well. Listen, at this part of the show, we have no more show. I could literally sing a song saying we have no more show. However, to spare all of us that embarrassment and chaos, I'm just going to say, please join us tomorrow here on the Shout Out Show, Monday through Thursdays, and every first Saturday, we do our Saturday Spotlight. Here we are again, 5 to 5:30 on the Central Time. And of course, we're going to do our rebroadcasts at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock p.m. And of course, that would be 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So, time for you to go, because it's time for me to go. I think I will do that song. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for coming to the show. That's all the lyrics I wrote. But you get the idea. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out.